Cool.
All right. Today we are here with Fanuc and Adam
Willet.
Willay. Sorry.
Yeah. If you think French, it rolls off the tongue. Willet.
That's right. That's right. I forgot about that. I forgot about that. My name is Tyra Ray, and I work for Automate365. I am the director of marketing here, and this is part three of our vendor web series. And we are very excited to welcome one of our newest and biggest partners, which would be Fanuc. Adam, please give us a little bit of an introduction with you guys.
Thanks so much, Tyra. Appreciate you. Yeah. So my name's Adam Willet, and I'm officially the senior district manager for Fanuc Robotics, and I'm responsible for all robot sales, support, spare parts, and training in Florida and the Caribbean. So I make my way to Puerto Rico, Dominican. Really tough territory down here, but someone's got to do it, right?
So somebody has to do the Hawaii trips.
That's right. There you go. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, we're obviously really glad to have you here. We have just a couple of questions that answer as freely as you can, and just give us what you think. Give us the inside scoop.
100%. Lead it off, my friend.
All right. So our first question here is going to be, what sets Fanuc apart in the robotics and automation space compared to your other competitors?
Yeah, 100%. So there's a lot of robotics companies out in the wild today, and some have been around for a very long time, um, and some are new startups. But what I would say, and I'm going to preface this with, I didn't always work at Fanuc. All right,
Okay.
I worked as an engineer at a custom automation firm that used a lot of different brands.
Okay.
And there's a reason that my W-2 says Fanuc on it now. All right.
Okay.
I
Okay.
wanted to work with the best, and what sets Fanuc apart from the best, undoubtedly, is their support.
Mm,
And the thing is when you're looking at robots, again, there's a lot of good technology out there, good hardware out there. There's bad hardware out there
of
too.
course. Of course.
But with Fanuc, here's the thing. With Fanuc, you have 24/7, 365 support from Fanuc. Okay, this isn't
Mm.
something that we outsource. It's not a third party company that tells you to, oh yeah, did you try turning it off and turn it on again?
Ugh,
Okay.
don't we hate that dreaded? Like I
Man, it's
got
like
PTSD thinking about it.
I know it's like, dude, I've tried all the easy stuff. I wouldn't be calling you. Okay.
Right, right.
And so Fanuc has 24/7 support that is phone, VPN, email, all that. But then we also have over 440 technicians that just run around the United States that can come to your facility and help you.
Hmm,
And so having that emergency hotline is
of course.
huge, but what supports the hotline is the fact that Fanuc is the only robotics company on the planet
Mhm.
that guarantees spare parts for life. For
Now
life.
that's interesting. That's an interesting one right there. I don't even think people realize how big that just is. So, I
Hmm.
mean, not even to go completely off a script here, but please feel free to to go a little bit farther into that because I do think that's an awesome feature you guys have.
It's wild. So I mean, Fanuc's been around for 45 years,
Right.
even a little bit longer on our CNC side since 1972. So 50 plus years.
Wow.
Um, what's really impressive about Fanuc is uh, when we're talking about spare parts, we make almost all of our parts, but not
Okay.
all. So the parts we make, that's easy. We just make them and put them in on a shelf. But the
Right.
parts that are things that we have to source, things like Intel processor chips.
Hmm.
When Intel says, "Hey, we're done making this chip and we're moving to the new one,"
Yeah.
they call Fanuc and say, "Hey, how many of these do you need before we shut it down for life?"
Oh
And Fan
wow.
and Fanuc will look at our data, how many robots are out there, put a factor of safety on there, and say, "Okay, we need 100,000 of those chips." And
Hmm.
Intel will give us 100,000 old chips that we will
Wow.
put on a shelf. And 20 years from now, if you've got a robot that needs, in the year 2050, if you need a 2025 chip,
Yeah.
We have it. and
Wow.
and I've seen that with customers who they've got old systems. Like anyone who's watching this series who knows what a punch card reader is, it's time to check your back and have your prostate exam. But if you know what a punch card reader is on a CNC, um,
Yeah.
we've had customers that have 40-year-old machines that the program is read by these punch cards. The machine was fine, but the reader died.
Yeah.
Call up Fanuc. Hey, I need a new punch card reader. And yep,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, you got to pay for it, but we
Yeah.
guarantee that it but we guarantee that it exists. Whereas
Wow.
most other companies on this planet, you got 5 or 6 years, something like that, before they do the planned obsolescence. And then you call them up, they're like, we don't support it anymore. You need a new
Right.
thing.
Right.
That's not Fanuc. Fanuc's like, you buy a robot, you buy it once, we will keep it running as long as you want to keep it running.
And that's such an amazing feature to have because I'm from the building automation background.
Hmm.
So with building automation parts, things get obsoleted so quick. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
it's a couple years down the line and there you have a whole job that you just did maybe 5 years ago and you got this very specific part and you're like, "Hey, it's down. I just need this very even more specific small part to make it run again." And they're like, "Listen, we don't do that anymore." And it's like now you went from maybe like a $5,000-$10,000 fix to having to fix the entire building again
Whole
for
thing.
hundreds of thousands. So it's
Yep.
like that's a huge feature, just being able to support that, especially considering how costly some robots can be. I mean, robots are not, $20 here and there. These are
That's right.
thousands of dollars. So it's like
Yeah.
to be able to, I guess, support that for pretty much life that's a huge feature you guys have that should
I'll,
not be slept on.
I'll give you a real world story. I had a customer here in Florida that had a competitor brand robot.
Hmm.
Robot was running great. I have nothing bad to say about the robot,
Okay.
but it had a special battery pack for your backups. And
Mm.
so when you lose power or brownouts or blackouts or whatever,
Yeah.
robots need a battery to back up your encoder counts, your programs, all that. Okay. They called up this competitor company and said, "Hey, we need new battery packs for these robots that were about 10 years old."
Okay.
And the competitor said, "We don't make that battery anymore." And the customer's like, "Okay, well, the robot's running.
Right.
What do you want me to do? I need like a $40 battery pack. What do you want me to do?" And they're like, "You need to buy a $20,000 new robot."
Oh no.
So this customer,
No.
yeah, so this customer called me up and said, "Hey, Adam, what's the deal with Fanuc batteries?" I'm like, "For life. How often do you want a battery?" Every year for life." He's like, "Perfect." And they took their competitor robot, threw it away, and put in a because they had to spend 20 grand anyway.
Yeah, I
They
was gonna say it was gonna have to be spent. Yeah, yeah.
if they got to buy a new robot because of a battery pack, let's replace it with someone who keeps that robot running forever. And so that competitor lost all of the business in that count because of a battery.
Needless to say, they've had that customer ever since. The
Yeah.
customer has not left them ever
Yeah.
since.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that's like I said, that's such a huge feature. So I'm really glad you kind of like spoke more into that because along with being one of the bigger and badder robotic brands, to be
Yeah.
able to have that kind of lifetime support for customers, it really shows a good amount of care that the company has. And you really
Hmm.
can't even buy that these days. So I'm a fan.
Yes.
All right. So we'll get into our next question here. So, how do you see robotics evolving in the next 5 to 10 years? And where do you think Fanuc leads in that future?
Absolutely. I love this question because I've been in the robotics game for I'm coming up on my 18th year.
Oh,
And so almost 2 decades of evolving that I've seen.
okay.
And people who are older than me who have seen it from the 80s and 90s, they could even attest to this more.
Mm.
But let me tell you this. When I programmed my first Fanuc robot 18 years ago, I felt like you needed to have a computer science degree to get anything done. Like the amount of code and structured text and point logic and bits and you literally needed to have an engineering degree to get a robot to do anything.
Jeez, yeah.
Fast forward to today, my 7-year-old nephew comes over to visit Uncle Adam, and we set up the robot, and he programs it. All
Wow,
right. Now,
really? Oh,
I gotta
wow.
admit, my nephew's a genius, and I think he was born with an iPad in his hand. That's just
I'm not sure, but I think it was there.
it was pretty close. But the point being, what robotics has done um, over the last couple decades is brought that ease of use. Okay,
Mm,
they've made it to where robots can be used by the masses with very little to no training, um, by way of better interfaces, the GUI that we have, drag and drop programming,
okay.
pre pre-built functions where it's like, hey, we've been around for 50 years. We know what you're going to do with a robot. Here's pre-canned code. Just drop this in.
Mm,
And then even in the collaborative robot space, our cobots, you just grab the robot and move it around and show it what you want to do, and then it repeats that.
oh,
You know,
wow.
so
Yeah.
seeing how the programming and the ease of use has come over the last 10 to 15 years, I see that trend getting even more, where especially now with AI, uh, platforms like your Grok and your Chat GPT and things like that,
Mhm.
you can just be like, give it a prompt, make me a robot program that stacks these boxes 10 layers high, go, and it just
Yes.
there it is.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the evolution of robots that I see is, now that people are using them more and more and more, you
Mhm.
need to deploy them easier and faster.
Right,
And
right.
so that's where we're going, is we're getting it to the point where anybody buy a robot, plug it in, give it a couple prompts, get going.
All right. Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that you said that your nephew who's 7 can
Yeah.
even program these things. So that's really that adds some pressure for when I visit Fanuc. I'm gonna try to program this thing as well. But if it
I'll have
doesn't
you
work for
program
me,
it. Yeah.
yeah, if it doesn't work for me, I won't post it. So that's how that'll
I'll have
work.
I will have you programming a cobot in 20 minutes or less, 10 minutes or less. I'll show you. Drag and drop, move it around.
Now that's impressive. Now we're going to take you up on that offer. So there will be another follow-up video of me trying to figure that out. So
Deal.
that's definitely going to be exciting. All right.
Deal.
Well, that's great. My next question is, what is one challenge you consistently see customers facing, and then how does Fanuc solve it differently?
Over the years, and what's interesting too is I've spent the first 65% of my career as an engineer, and
Yeah.
the second third as sales.
Okay.
And what I've seen is people who is the robot has become the easiest part, but then people immediately underestimate everything else. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So let me give you a perfect prop example, just for fun here. I've got a
Okay.
bunch of poker chips that I like to fidget with. Okay.
Perfect.
If I wanted a robot to take poker chips and print on them and then stack them,
Mm-hmm.
I can make you program that robot in an afternoon. It's literally take the robot, pick, place, and then put it somewhere else, right? And then you
Right.
put your logo on it. Okay. But what people forget is there's everything else. Is how are the blank poker chips coming to the robot? And when the
Mm.
robot runs out, now what? Or the robot
Oh,
needs somewhere to put the done ones. When that's full, now
now what?
what? Or your printer. If I'm putting my, who do I got here? My PNC, shout out, they have all my money. Or here's a better shout out, Harley Davidson. That's right. There we
There
go.
we go.
What happens when your printer isn't printing the logo properly? It's got a smudge or something, right? And so
Mhm.
the thing is, Fanuc can only do so much to make your life easier.
Of
You know,
course.
we can make that robot very intuitive and very easy, but the peripherals, everything else, people underestimate what goes into automation, right? There's safety aspects, there's material handling, there's all of this, right? And I just laid that on you, and I can even see by your expression, you're like, oh wow, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
That's where Fanuc comes in. We have experienced sales guys. Almost all of Fanuc sales guys started as engineers.
Okay.
So
So they work their way up.
we we work our way up. So when we come and visit you, we can help ask those questions and guide those questions. But then a layer beyond just a sales dude, we have these engineering offices, 25 regional offices just in America. I'm not even
Wow.
talking Canada, Mexico, overseas, just in the continental 48. We have 25 offices of engineers where we will do simulations, 3D layouts,
Oh, wow.
proof of concept demos. We will take your product or your process and run it through the ringers and say, this is easy, this is hard, this is a challenge, da 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 da. Da. And so what I think this almost goes back to your first question, what sets Fanuc apart?
Yeah.
Most robot suppliers are just like, hey, pick a robot, here you go. Here's our
Right.
catalog, here you go.
Kind of figure it out for yourself.
Figure it out. We're selling
Yeah.
a commodity, figure it out.
Right.
With Fanuc, we are a team of problem solvers. We are engineers who work with you to come up with
Mhm.
the perfect solution, because we know if you buy a robot and it doesn't work, you're not blaming the printer, you're not blaming the poker chips, you're blaming the robot.
Of course. Of course. Naturally.
So
Naturally.
naturally, you blame the big thing in the middle. And so we as a company and as sales engineers, we work with you and with our customers to identify those potential pain points and say, what are you doing to keep somebody safe from this press? Or
Right.
what are you doing when all your poker chips are printed and that stack needs to go down the line? Are we doing conveyors, indexers, bins? What are we doing? And so
Right.
Fanuc is very engaged with you through the whole process.
Wow. And it's so funny too, because when you said that and when you were explaining, like, okay, well, then where do they go? And what happens when it gets full there? These are things that you naturally are just not thinking about because you're too
Yeah,
busy worried about the main part. The main
yeah.
part is I want them to
I
print
want.
and then
I
move.
needed to print. I needed to print,
Yeah. So
and you
then
don't
like
think
once it
about it.
yeah, you don't think about the
Yeah,
rest of it. So the fact that you guys are kind of like filling in those blanks, I'm sure has saved people thousands of hours of trying to like look at a manual and being like, this is like pretty much in French. And I
mhm,
can't really even understand what to even do past this. So there's a lot that I feel like Fanuc is doing as far as not even just serving the public and as far as giving them great products, but also educating as well. Because that's just as important. And just like knowing what this thing can actually do and how you can get this to really help you and be like not even have to think of it. So that's another standout feature I feel like you guys
yeah.
really offer. The
You nailed
education
it. Nailed
is
it.
impeccable.
Yes, yes.
All right. Well, wow. Okay. So we have another one here.
Okay.
So, do you have any examples or recent success stories of an application where Fanuc solutions really stood out?
Yeah, for sure. And so like I want to say, I won't, it's probably not appropriate to name names, but there are a few really good robot companies.
Okay.
Then there's a bunch of like mid
Mediocre.
companies.
Okay.
And yeah, and then there's a bunch of like you it's like the disposable cameras of robots, right? Or it's just
Okay. Fair.
okay.
Fair.
So in that top tier, most in the top tier,
Hmm.
uh most of the technologies are we're always trying to one up each other, but we're kind of reaching that limit.
Ceiling. Yeah.
Yes, you start reaching a ceiling where it's kind of hard to have a noticeable breakthrough where you're like, wow, this company A does something that company B doesn't. Yeah, that's not, you don't really see too much of that anymore. It's more even.
Kind of like the
But
Apple and like
eh,
Samsung, like back and forth with like their phones, where it's like, all right,
yeah,
what can we even do that the other person hasn't done
yeah.
already?
Yeah, I went from a 180 megapixel camera to a 200 megapixel camera.
Right, right.
Bro, I can't
Negligible
even see
differences.
that. You know,
Right,
I can't.
right.
But like but that being said, I do have an example of where our cobot line has risen above, and there's a peak with the Fanuc cobots,
Okay.
and that is, we have a very different technology built into our cobots, and that is force sensors at every axis joint. So when you look at, oh, let me get more props.
Here
When
we
you
go.
look at when you look at our Fanuc cobots,
Hmm.
every joint, every axis of this guy, where there's a motor and a gearbox, every axis has a force sensor, and that force sensor is feeling everything that's going on, whether
Hmm.
that's a human that's moving it, or it could be a human that actually accidentally gets bumped into,
Okay.
or it could be parts, machines, products, either way. So most other, I mean, I don't want to say all, but most other competitors don't do this. All right, but
Mm.
we do. Well, we put those force sensors in to keep the robot safe. So when you touch it, it doesn't kill you.
Oh,
um, but
very important.
it's important. But the aftermath of that is, wow, this robot has the ability to feel. And we're like, we could use that as part of normal operation. And so now we're using these cobots for things like curved surface sanding,
Mm.
polishing, deburring edges of parts, things like that. And I recently, this is fresh on my mind, it's very recent, within the last month, had a customer that they have a product that's kind of like a metal plate that has adhesive on it, and they're doing
Okay.
a rework, and they need to scrape the adhesive off
Ooh, okay.
without damaging the substrate. And
Good.
so
Okay.
it's hard. Like, as a human, we feel our way around. We take a little blade and we kind of shimmy it, and you can feel if you're going too low or too high.
Right.
But a normal robot can't feel like that. You're
Right.
just
Yeah,
gonna
yeah. It's slicing it
dive
in half.
in, just
Yeah.
slicing, right?
Yeah.
Well, they used a Fanuc CRX collaborative to come in and feel its way to put that blade perfectly between the adhesive and the metal,
Wow.
and then hold it there as you went through the substrate at a controlled speed, controlled force, to make a perfectly clean part.
Wow.
And I was even a little impressed. I'm like, man, I was like, man, that is really, really good programming. But they took uh they took a technology that's built in, like, this is not a option or a add-on or a feature or a subscription. It's just
Right.
built in. It's just
Right.
in a
It's just a
Fanuc.
robot.
It's just there. They took that feature and they used it for their application that nobody else could do. And they even told me, they're like, look, I shopped all these other brands, B, C, D, and E, and I asked them, can they do it? And they all said, no. And so they ended up with Fanuc, and they love it. So I
Wow.
got to give props to them for the programming, and props to Fanuc for having the componentry.
And I mean, you're the expert here. So the fact that it's even
Hmm.
surprising you, and this is, you're kind of like, wow. I mean, I knew they were good, but that is impressive.
Over the top impressive. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very like, it's such an intricate thing. And you kind of go into that whole like, obviously with robots not being sentient beings, there's certain things where it's like, I don't know if this would be the best to do it, but we don't have time to have like a million humans forming an assembly line trying to get this done. So
Yep.
having that kind of like human like touch, for lack of better words, for it to a robot is like that's huge. That's that's huge.
And think about it, if and think about it this way too. If you and I sat down with a razor blade and a part,
Right.
we are going to have totally different outcomes on the
Right.
cleanliness of the part. And I'll even tell you this, the parts I make on Monday will be better than the parts I make on a Friday, right?
I'm ready to
And
go home.
so, yeah. And so, human to human, and time of day and time of week, you're getting
True.
variability. And this was a very sensitive electronics part. And so quality and consistency is key. That robot is the most consistent thing you'll ever find, you know? So they
Very
solved a lot of
impressive.
problems with one solution.
Very impressive. I mean, it just as another thing that just shows to the quality of Fanuc. I mean,
100%.
if there isn't already a million things in this video, let that be one of the million and first.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, let me ask you our last question here.
Okay.
If you could give one piece of advice to engineers or any businesses considering robotics for the first time, what would your advice be?
Talk to someone who's been there and done that. There is no replacement for experience. I promise you. As smart as I thought I was 10 years ago,
Right,
Adam today smokes Adam from 10 years ago. And it's not because I'm sitting down with more books.
right,
It's because I've spent more time with my back against the wall. Right. And
right, of
so
course.
there is no replacement for experience. You can be a PhD, you can be smart, hats off to you. But if you're fresh out of college and you haven't spent time on a factory floor with the fire breathing down your neck trying to get something running, you don't know. You just don't know. And so my advice to customers or potential customers who have not done robots and automation and they're thinking
Mhm.
about getting into it, talk to someone like myself. I'm not tooting a horn here, but talk to people with experience, right? Talk to people who are experienced engineers, experienced sales guys, experienced programmers, experienced electricians who can tell you, hey, I've done this before, it doesn't work, don't do it. you
Right,
know
right.
that's what's the saying. There's a really good saying that, okay, I'm gonna let's not butcher it. Smart people learn from their mistakes,
Mhm.
but truly wise people learn from the mistakes of others.
There we go. See, I was going to say a pressure makes diamonds quote, but I like that one
Ah, I like that. That's
better.
true too. That's true too. But I would say, a lot of us have earned our stripes. We've learned from our mistakes. You don't have to make those mistakes. Have us come in and we can help guide you to the right solution. And just, don't go it alone.
Right.
Go with a partner who's going to help you and be there with you and guide you and share that burden. And hopefully, I call it a burden. It's an opportunity. There's work. If you have the opportunity to work, which work is a burden, you're blessed because you have the opportunity to work.
That's
So
right. That's right.
do it with someone who's been there.
I completely agree with that. It's like when you're applying for jobs and you're like a college grad, it's like everybody on every application, they're like, well, how many years of experience do you have? And it
Hmm.
kind of like that, the experience trumps the books every time. It's like now if you can have
Yep.
both, that's best of
Great.
both worlds.
Yeah.
But typically people in any field are looking for, well, what have you really done when you're out there? Like,
Hmm.
have you had that like pressure on you to fix this kind of solution? Because this is not in the textbooks. This is something that's a
Hmm.
real life situation. So I couldn't agree
Hmm.
more. As far as experience, I think that's one of the most important things we have.
Yep.
One of the most valuable resources I can even say is just being able to experience certain things and learning from that and being able to alter accordingly, I can
Yep.
say.
And that's why I say my number one piece of advice is when you're picking a supplier, when you're picking a partner, pick someone that is going to be there with you and for you and support you and guide you and give training and give advice. You can call us and pick up the phone. Like, that's what you need. You don't just need to flip through a catalog and pick a robot. You need a literal partner who's going to help you.
That's right.
And I can't stress that enough.
Wow. I mean, thank you already for taking the time to really explain what Fanuc does. Obviously, since there's so many different companies out there and they all kind of seem similar at a glance, it's really nice to kind of dive into one of them that you're interested in and being like, well, what really makes this one different? And I think
Yeah.
it's more than apparent in this video why Fanuc is different than the competitors. I mean, they're doing things that other companies literally are just not doing yet. They haven't reached that height
Right.
yet, and who knows if they ever will. So,
Yep.
I mean, Fanuc is light years ahead. And I mean, I mean, I'm impressed, and I'm not even trying to buy any robots for my own applications, but I'm impressed thoroughly. Is there
Awesome.
any like last signing off statement that you had to say about either Fanuc, yourself, anything?
I gotta just whenever I tell people that buy a new robot, I always just say have fun. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. Like,
Yeah,
no one wants to get out of bed and be bummed in the morning they got to go to work. You have just have some fun with it.
that's right.
Get creative. Let the juices flow. You know, it have fun. Remember, you just we're all in it together. Have a light heart about things. You know, it's it should be a good experience.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you so much, Adam. We appreciate you
Yes.
coming onto our vendor web series. We love having you guys as a partner, and we are looking forward to a even more fruitful relationship moving forward. Obviously, if you guys want to buy any Fanuc products, please go to automate365.com. Definitely let us know. And if you need a local expert, this is who we will be talking to or getting you in connections with. This guy is the guy.
Yes,
All
yes,
right.
ma'am. Thank you so much, Tyra. I appreciate you having me on here. This was fun. This is great.
Of course. No, we loved having you. And thank you so much. And I guess we will see you another time when I go and program that robot.
I'm looking forward to it.